You're listening to Rock-N-Sexxy Uncensored, bringing you the cutting edge of the entertainment world weekly, hosted by Lynn.
All right, woohoo! Welcome back to another episode of Rock-N-Sexxy Uncensored, broadcasting tonight on the United Broadcasting Network at ubngo.com, Channel 1, and live streaming on our blog weekly at rocknsexyuncensored.com. I'm your host, Lynn, and it's my pleasure to be here with you guys tonight. And joining me is Joe Williamson.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure, and you look beautiful as ever.
Thank you, Joe. RNSU works overtime to bring you the cutting-edge talents of the music and entertainment worlds, and tonight is no exception, folks. With summer fading quickly, Halloween is just around the corner, and tonight we are going to talk about the latest incarnation from rock star, director, filmmaker Rob Zombie, the brand new The Munsters movie based on the iconic TV series of the same name from the 1960s. Are you excited, Joe?
I'm super excited.
All right. And joining us in just a bit, actor Butch Patrick, who starred in the original TV series as Eddie Munster and who makes an appearance in the new movie as a new and completely different character. So that's going to be really exciting, right?
I can't wait.
Butch will be on in just a bit. But joining us live in the studio now, also in the film and in the role of the Count, Grandpa Munster, who is one of my most favorite characters, a prolific character actor. He has collaborated with Zombie on 7 of his films to date. He's appeared in everything from Harrison Ford's Oscar-winning film The Fugitive to the original Final Destination, as well as TV series Matlock and Nash Bridges. Please welcome to our show, Daniel Roebuck is here in the house. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, thank you, everybody.
What was that?
Thank
Sorry
you.
about that.
No.
Our photographer was crossing us with
I'm-
shots.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you very much. It's neat, huh?
It's neat.
Yeah, I was just telling you when we lived such an exciting life here in Burbank, California.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're in the new Munsters
Yes.
movie.
Yeah.
And you've been in 7 of Rob Zombie's films.
Yes. Now, Rob Zombie has cast me in 7 films, and he's filmed me in 7 films. I don't know that I'm actually in 7 films. It's kind of a hobby of his, cutting me out of movies once he puts
Oh, it
me in
is?
them. Yeah, he likes to do that. I wouldn't mind
Why
it.
does that?
I don't know. It wouldn't bug me as much as he evidently made a deal with my father for an undisclosed amount of money to cut me out of our home movies too. So recently I've looked in the home movies. I'm not in any of them. But no, Rob's a great guy, and I want to tell you, a great director. And why does he cut me out? The same reason I cut people out when I direct movies. Sometimes you realize you're off story, or the thing's not working, or the scene's not working. Hopefully it's got nothing to do with my acting. But then, you know.
I cannot believe it would have anything to do with your acting.
that's
I
nice.
went
Thank
over
you.
a lot of your stuff, and one in particular, which is up on your IMDb page, which is called Murder School.
A murder school?
Is it called Murder School?
I've-
You played this
Oh,
insane character who's in a mirror, and it opens on you looking in the mirror, and you're like, I'm okay, and you start punching yourself in the face.
I know we're live, and I don't think that's me. It might be another actor.
No, this is definitely on your IMDb page. I saw
I
it,
will-
but it's definitely in makeup. Definitely
Oh,
in
in makeup? I
It was
wonder
called, I can't remember what the name of the
I did a
project
movie called
actually was.
River's Edge right when I got to town a few years after, where I played a teenage killer. But that was a drama. I've been in a lot of horror movies. I just don't always remember them all.
Well, let me ask you something. As a character actor who has been, you've portrayed other famous people like Jay Leno in The Late Shift.
Oh, yeah.
And also the legendary Gary Marshall in Behind the Camera, Mork and Mindy, which was another real favorite of mine. How do you incarnate these specific roles about people that have already lived and been famous?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, do you know what's weird,
the work?
Amber? I think everything is everything ties back to a greater plan. And in when I'm put on in front of a microphone, I say that plan is a godly plan. Other people may call it universe or whatever. When I was a young boy, I was fascinated with impressionists. We don't really have too many impressionists now, but you remember Rich Little, Frank Gorshin, right,
absolutely.
Joe? Yeah, the great impressionists of the 60s and 70s. This was a huge thing. Well, Jordan, who did, a really big show. He always did Ed Sullivan. So this was a big deal. So when I was a kid, I was a ventriloquist. That was a stupid job to have when you're 6. And then I was an impressionist, and I used to do impressions. And oddly, my mother took me to see Rich Little when I was a boy. And I remember telling Rich Little when I was a boy that I was going to be an impressionist. And then 25 years later, we're on the set of The Late Shift. He's playing Johnny Carson. I'm playing Jay Leno. Like, it's such a beautiful, wonderful, like, explosion of good godliness that I think everything that I was led down a path as a child, and we could talk about this all night, and that's where I ended up as an adult. But it's weird, as actors go, that I'm the guy they call to play the real guy, because I guess I just
have to embody their voice, their mannerisms.
Right.
I mean, that's just like a whole different thing, because you don't have any room as an actor to kind of create.
Yes.
As an actress myself, it's the same thing. You have to kind of embody this character.
And you can't really add your flourish.
You can't bring it to yourself.
Yeah.
You have to turn yourself, it would seem like, inside out to become actually them. And when you have the public with somebody like Jay Leno, who was on TV every night.
And when we were doing the movie, he was on TV every night. But we had to backtrack the Jay Leno that they were watching, and we had to go back 5 years or so to when all that stuff took place. So it was you walk the line. You're very intuitive. It is a fact that you can't embellish. Now here's a story. So I did Jay Leno, and I think I did. I did 2 movies for this buddy of mine, and the third movie was actually the making of Three's Company, and the guy I was playing. I had called, they cast me, and I asked to see footage on the guy, and the producer called me in a panic, and he said, Dan, we're not actually, I know what you want to do. He goes, but we're not casting you to play this guy. We're casting you to play you as if you were this guy. Because the guy, when he spoke like this and was not that interesting a person. But so they didn't want that. They wanted like, hey, it's me and I'm the guy. Anyway, so that's
which is how Jay Leno is. He's
right, but that was a different movie, right? Jay Leno is an effusive, happy, great person. Always nice to me. Did
he like the role?
Did
he like the movie? Did he appreciate the work you did?
I can't speak to that specifically, other than to say, to me, he said, you did a great job. I don't know if he liked the movie. I know he checked in a lot with Betty Thomas, the director, who's terrific, while we were making the movie. And literally the day we finished, I got home early because I had one scene to shoot in the morning. They took me out of the makeup, which took about 4 hours to put on. I went home, maybe it's 1:30 in the afternoon, and I called the number for Universal, and I said, I'm looking for the Tonight Show, and they put me into the Tonight Show. And then when hello, Tonight Show, I said, hi, may I speak to Jay Leno? Who's this? Daniel Roebuck? 1 second. And then they put me with Helga, his assistant, and he got right on the phone. He goes, Dan, how'd it go?
That's how I would see
him. He was so
nice.
And I had never spoken to him before that, because that would be a lot to put on a person. Unfair, really, because that movie was controversial, and it wasn't really my place to put any pressure on him to help me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's terrific and has been terrific to me since then.
So how did you hook up with Rob Zombie?
Well,
Tell us about this. You have 7 films starting with Halloween.
Yeah, wouldn't
Halloween
it be
2, 3 from Hell.
All of them. Yeah, the first one
All
was
of them. You've been in every one.
Devil's Reach.
You're like his go-to guy.
I've been in every one but the first one because I met him. I met him first at a place called Kitcraft. We used to buy monster models from the same place, and we walk into this place and
here he is in
there he is.
makeup for you guys.
Oh yeah. So from meeting him in a model store to standing with him in Budapest, Hungary, in front of that castle, is quite a gift to be able to play that part.
Wow, the makeup
Isn't
is
that crazy?
just amazing.
I know, it's funny looking at that. Even me, I'm still like, wow, how is this was the greatest time of my life.
You look amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You look exactly like I remember Al Lewis, the original Grandpa Munster, right? How you embody him is just like it's unbelievable.
Well, what's great is Al and I were from essentially the same part of the world, the same part of the country. We were both from the northeast part of America. So he talked like this and I talk like this. So that's a good beginning. The other thing is everyone thought, Amber, that he was tiny because Fred was huge.
Right.
But Al was exactly my size. I'm sure Tony, if he looks, he can find a picture of me. I snuck on Al Lewis's jacket from Munsters Go Home, and it fit like a glove because he was 6'1",
Wow.
and he weighed about 230 pounds. So I put the jacket on, and it fit great. You might find pictures of me next to it. Not when I put it on. Maybe we did it when the photographers weren't there.
So can you tell us anything about the film?
Oh yeah, I can tell. Yeah, about no. We could talk about the movie. Was so top secret for so long.
I heard that. I know that there was an NDA around the film.
We couldn't say anything.
We did ask previously about getting people onto the show to promote the project, and they were like, "No, we're not ready yet. We're not,
Yeah, that's so. What's out now is out now. It's a love story, and it's not a prequel because we have never played the parts, but it's an origin story of these characters. In the beginning of the movie, Herman's not even alive, and like every father-in-law, I have children, and I was specific about who I felt should be my daughter's suitor or husband. Like I had an opinion because I love my daughter. Grandpa has a bit of an opinion because he himself didn't like the bozo Herman Munster.
Well, he didn't.
Yeah.
Even in the TV series. Like, I was a fan of the Munsters, which is sort of how I came across Butch Patrick at the fan shows. I had been a fan as a child, and I used to come home from school and watch the TV series religiously.
Yeah, all of us.
And then here I was sitting at a fan show one day and looked across the room, and I'm like, "Oh my God, it's Eddie Munster sitting right here! I can't believe it!" He's like, "I can't believe it!" We were like, "Oh my God!" And he's just the greatest guy. But
he is, and a dear friend of mine. I love when we get to hang out together at the shows. We're a fun team,
right? Don't you love the fan shows, the camaraderie that everybody has? That's what I kind of picture that the set would be like with working on a film like this. That it would be like there'd be a lot of camaraderie, and then of course I always picture like everybody's walking around in headsets listening to metal music.
Yeah. Oh no,
not Rob Zombie's music in their head, and they're all like,
No, it's Rob Zombie is he's quite the artiste. There's none of. I mean, it's just like any movie, but like this one was so like the makeup. Our makeup calls were 3:00 in the morning. We lived in a hotel, and it was only us because we had to be in a COVID bubble. So to go down the steps was one big flight of steps, two big flight of steps, 3, 4. So it took you 4 minutes to go downstairs, get in the van, go to work, and the first thing you do is they'd make us up for hours and hours, and then they'd have to take it off at the end of the day. I know Butch went through that himself, as Eddie. He had the great Mike Westmore make him up when he was a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we haven't divulged yet what his new character is, because we kind of wanted to hold that back because we know that he's going to be on the show in just a few minutes. But we did want to talk about your role and what it was like working with Rob and what it was like working with Rob's wife.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
well,
Sherry Moon Zombie. She's just taking the world by storm these days with these projects. She's been going one after another, and she's on fire in this.
She's terrific.
I mean, I know my opinion is that as she's playing Lily, right? Lily Munster, and she looks amazing.
She's in the first place, she's gorgeous. But let me say,
a beautiful woman anyway. But when she embodies the role with whatever they've done with the makeup and hair and whatever.
Yeah, she's perfect. But she is like you do animal rescue. Like she is a beautiful person inside and out, and so working with her is always joyful. And it's weird, like she's now forever my movie daughter. Right, that's even weirder.
So now you're going to feel protective over her.
Oh, it's my girl. That's my girl.
Yay.
Like I'm like Rob Zombie goes in for a kiss.
Shout out to Sherry Moon Zombie. You are doing an awesome job in the Munsters movie. We just wanted to mention that. Everybody did a wonderful job from what I can see. I haven't seen the movie yet.
Great. Jeff Daniel Phillips is going to, he's going to kill it as Herman. Like, look, we had a unique situation because as Butch will tell you, you know, you can't be Al Lewis and Fred Gwynn, and I am in a unique position on this movie. I was Al Lewis's friend, and I was Fred Gwynn's friend. So I knew that I could never be Al Lewis, and I knew Jeff could never be Fred Gwynn, and she could never be Yvonne DiCarlo. But our job wasn't to be them. Our job was to honor them through our performances, and I think
so it's like a tribute, right?
Yeah, and it's not an impression of them. I'm not doing an impression of Al, but in the story, I'm similar in age to Grandpa Munster on the TV show. Herman is born in the movie, and Lily's essentially a teenager in the movie. So they're playing younger versions.
Because it goes back. It's going to go back to the prequel. And guys, we are going to be showing you the trailer from the new movie, but we're going to hold out on that for just a minute because before we do, here he is, an actor who portrayed one of my very most favorite childhood characters of all time. He's also had a prolific acting career, appearing in top TV shows of the 60s and even a stint on the popular soap opera General Hospital, another one of my favorites, as well as being in over countless TV commercials. But what really made him an instant household name was his role as the iconic TV character Eddie Munsters in the original TV comedy series The Munsters. Please welcome to Rock-N-Sexxy Uncensored, Butch Patrick is with us today. Hey!
How are y'all?
How you doing, Butch?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Oh my God, are you sitting in front of the Munsters casino game?
Two of them.
Two of them. Oh my goodness. So, how you doing? What's going on? You're in the Munsters movie.
Yeah.
Well, that's a shocker.
It's very no. It really is because I knew about it obviously for a long time, but I couldn't say anything because I was the last person announced, and it was very, very difficult to keep it quiet because obviously the first thing everybody was asking me for the last year was all about the new Rob Zombie Munsters movie, and I knew a lot about it, but I couldn't share it. It was the toughest thing I ever had to do because I don't keep secrets well.
Well, the movie was actually in works for quite some time, wasn't it? It was a couple of years of talks about it before, because I remember we had you on our Halloween show at the other studio, and we had talked about you had like an upcoming special project going on, but you couldn't talk about it back then. Remember? That was 2-3 years ago.
Well, yeah, that was that particular one. And you got to remember, for the last 20 years, there's been talk about it consistently. A Mockingbird Lane was actually done about 10 years ago exactly. That came out briefly. They did a one-off on it. So the Munsters has always been circling around Hollywood because of its success and the fact that they know that it's popular and people are always trying to take a stab at it. And I'm so happy that Rob finally got his chance to do it because he did an amazing job.
Okay, that's what I really want to talk about. Is it has a new look. And it has a much different look. And I think there's been a lot of mixed reaction to that because the original TV series, and people are saying, oh, well, this, and oh, it looks like that. And I'm like, well, first of all, the first TV series was done in black and white, right?
Yes.
It was in black and white. So this was a completely different look. Now it looks like they've taken the TV series and they've brought it modern day. And they've turned it into like almost like a music video, you know, like it has this color and it's amazing. The costuming is amazing from what I've seen. And obviously I haven't seen the whole movie yet.
No. Well, what's interesting I found in it is the fact that people will always make mention of, like, what was it like? Why was the show so popular so long ago? Well, you're making a show in the 60s that reflects the time of its production. It is what it is. It's in real time, and that was then, and this is now. And what's beautiful about what Rob's done is he's taken technology, which is now, and viewing habits and viewing tastes of now are different, but they're still keeping the essence of the original show. So yeah, it's 58 years ago we did this show, but today here is a recreation inspired by the original, but totally geared for today's audiences, which is amazing. And it's true to the sense of it being the Munsters, but it's also apropos for today's market.
And it looks to me, in my opinion, from what I've seen, like they took the TV series and then they brought it to life in the modern day with the color. When they invoked all that color, the color is just intense and insane, and it just brings it to life for me. And I was a Munsters fan for years and years, so I think I can speak from that of experience and say I definitely think it's amazing.
Yeah.
And you can say hi to Daniel Roebuck, who's here in the studio.
Yeah, Danny,
hi, buddy.
What's going on?
One of the greatest things that a stroke of genius on Rob's part was to get Dan to play Grandpa, the Count, because I heard earlier before I came on that he knew Fred, he knew Al, he was also friends. We were friends with Kevin Burns, who was the greatest Munster fan and collector and supporter ever. And Dan, it was a perfect choice because he is more knowledgeable than Sherry Moon and Jeff Daniel Phillips of the Munsters, because he was around the real Munsters, so they could help him, and he was like the rock that brought it all together. And it's just amazing. I couldn't be happier. When I first saw the footage, when I went in to do my dit, I was amazed at how it looked. I came out of there going, oh my gosh, when can I tell people about this? And they held back because I knew how good it was going to be. And yeah, it's catching a lot of, everybody's got an opinion and everybody's upset and this and that. And, not everybody, but too many people are making statements about stuff.
That makes things more exciting. First of all, if you don't have the critics and the haters and the trolls on your ass, then you're not doing anything worth really looking at anyway, because that's just the nature of who they are. They see something great and they instantly got to come and attack it.
I think it's like Mike Tyson did a good thing where he goes, people got too comfortable insulting people behind their keyboards.
Right? Exactly.
When he punched that guy
what's really funny is when I saw that there was the Munsters, I instantly had to go look because of my history with the TV series. I was like, oh, I'm so excited. And then when I heard you were in it, I obviously wanted to see, and I went on YouTube, and I saw some like these comments, oh my God, and this, and oh, and all that. So I was like, what it did for me was I was like, God, I gotta go check this thing out, because the more they talk, whether it's negative or positive, it's just ballyhoo, and you want to run out and check it out for whatever the good and bad is, because you're going, hey, is this, great? Is it a disaster? What is it? And I think that everybody has a different opinion, and it goes this way for everything. You get these bands from the 80s that come back, and the singer, and they broke up, and they've got a new singer, and it happens all the time, and they got a new drummer, and we had Megadeth, and we had this, and we had that. And they come back and they go, it'll never be Van Halen. It'll never be this. It'll never be that, because it's not. It's the new version of it. Now, why can't you just enjoy the present day? So I know that I can. So I'm really super excited about the project.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
I've noticed lately, and like Butch and I, we drove in the coach in Indianapolis, and Butch, I don't know, 100,000 people have watched that little video of just you and me joyfully being in the coach, right? Yeah. But what I've noticed is this thing that's been created. People are trying to figure out a way to monetize this. And I've looked at all this Munster stuff, and they're trying, it's interesting. They're using the hard work of Rob Zombie and Butch Patrick and Cherry and Jeff and I and all our great technicians, and they're crapping on it because they're trying to get more views on their, reaction videos.
Well, there is a thing in the world today called beef marketing.
Oh, say that.
Have you ever heard of that?
No,
it's called beef marketing.
But I'm a carnivore, so I'm very interested.
It may not even be that somebody doesn't like you or your project, but they create fame for themselves by throwing rocks at people or creating beef with people who are famous, who do have something going on, because then they get the attention and they get likes and followers. I couldn't believe it.
Isn't that interesting?
When I heard that, I said, that is brilliant.
But sad. But
it explains why you have all these people who will waste their time on that. But back to the project itself, I think that the color is amazing. I have not seen it in long form. We do have a trailer that we want to show for our listeners today. And so let's just take a minute and check it out.
Oh, the back! Action. That was great.
This is going to shock you.
I knew the moment I laid eyes on you that you were special.
Uh-huh.
Would you like to come over for dinner one night?
Please hold.
He's got a date!
It seems Miss Lily is truly in love.
Oh, Hermie.
Hey, numbskull! When they made me, they broke the mold! With you in it, I presume! No! I think it was out by that point!
We gotta get rid of that bozo Herman Munster. He's not the type of person I want my Lily with.
Yay, the Munsters.
I think it is.
Yes, it is.
All right, you guys, The Munsters 2022, written and directed by Rob Zombie, also stars Jeff Daniel Phillips, Sherry Moon Zombie, Cassandra Peterson, Dee Wallace, Sylvester McCoy, as well as Daniel Roebuck, and a special appearance by Butch Patrick. And did we miss anybody that we didn't give kudos to?
Pat Priest.
Pat Priest is in it.
Pat Priest.
Jorge Garcia,
and
my co-star from Lost, plays Floop, and then Richard Brake, a great character actor,
Brake. That's right.
plays Dr. Wolfgang. It's like Rob created a whole new world because we're back in Transylvania. And we're in this great version of Transylvania that I can tell you has been in no movie before. But if, say, there was a Transylvania that combined, the Beatles and Hammer films,
nice.
That's the Transylvania we live in. Like a great,
That doesn't sound like they have any of Rob's music, at least in the trailer, from the trailer of it. So does it have any kind of metal music? Or?
There's a musical aspect to the movie, which you see Herman singing, but it's and the Zombo music is Rob wrote a lot of the music, but the movie's scored by Zeus, who's a fabulous collaborator of Rob's.
So they kept it really true.
Yeah, the score is it's appropriate to this movie.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's not like going to a Rob Zombie concert because this is a kids movie.
I get it.
Like a not
well,
even a
it's
kids.
not necessarily a kids movie
it's
because
a
lot
movie.
of us who were kids when this was made are now full-grown
No,
adults.
you know what, Amber? What I mean, Amberlynn, is that it's a movie for. It's
not
a movie.
Middle-aged.
It's a movie for families,
right?
Like you should be able to sit down and watch this.
I don't know
kids.
anybody that wouldn't enjoy seeing the monsters.
Yeah. So, and it's interesting what you just told me earlier makes complete sense. But what I will say to your listeners, and Butch and I are out there in the world as well as Jeff Daniel Phillips. People, I don't care what they write on the internet. Butch, am I right? People are clamoring for this movie.
Yeah, so, Butch, tell us about your new and different role in the new film. How did it get decided that you were not going to go back and reprise your old role? I mean, they could have gone several ways. They could have brought you in as, grown up now or...
Well, if you follow the storyline, this is before Lily and Herman are married.
Okay.
There is no family. There is a love. This is a love affair with.
So this is pre-Eddie.
The creation of Herman and Lily's romance, and there is no Marilyn and there is no Eddie because it is the early stages of the Munster family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, there's a secret that just got out. Spoiler.
No, that's
just
been out.
A little bit.
That's been known.
So how'd you guys decide bring you in as the? Can we say it? Are we allowed to talk about it?
Yeah, it's a Tin Can Man.
Tin Can Man, sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you see him, there he is. That's a Tin Can Man. And he's actually a character from the original TV series.
Right. This was Rob's decision. He reached out to me and he said, I got something special for you. It's a great, how are you doing? How are you with voiceover? I go, I do voiceover as well. And came in and I was very happy with the character and the part. He's got a very, very important part in the movie. What his role is very instrumental and it's very valuable. So I'm very happy that I won't tell you what it is or what happens, but he's very instrumental in a big way.
Wouldn't it be great too if you could go back in time, Butch, and say, "Wait, stop right here," while you were shooting the Tin Can Man episode, and if someone whispered in your ear, 50 years from now, this is going to be important, so pay attention.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You just
remember what you're doing.
Yeah, remember what this poor guy in this costume is doing. I want to tell a story. I don't want to waste Butch's time because I know you have, but I'll.
Come here.
No, we're glad to have you both on together. I wanted to ask you guys, did you guys work on set together? Did Tin Can Man and Grandpa have any scenes together? What was it like?
Well, Tin Can Man and Grandpa have scenes together, but in the nature of how they do this, it did not require Butch to. I don't know how to say it.
I wasn't in the Tin Can Man.
Oh, you weren't inside of him.
No, and it's not. That's not. You wouldn't waste Butch's time by doing that to him. You take a guy who you don't like on the set, and you put him in the Tin Can Man, and then you bring in a talent like Butch to fix it not fix it, but you know what I mean.
To add in all
there's no reason that he has to.
Wow.
Yeah, he doesn't have to do that. It's not. That Tin Can Man thing, that guy, I think, wept openly every time he had to put it on.
I'm excited. This is going to be great.
I'm guessing he's much bigger than I am, too.
The Tin Can Man?
Maybe a little bit, yeah. Maybe
really?
Yeah.
Is he a big guy?
Well, it's you got to see the movie.
You got to see it, yeah.
You got to see the movie.
You and Daniel are friends. I can feel
we know
it.
each other for
I can feel the
we
energy
know each other for
you two.
years, and God is good.
I got Amber good. She was saying, you know, she goes, you know Daniel, right? I says, who's he?
And I was like, you don't know Daniel Roebuck? And he goes, oh, I've never heard of him, or something like that. And then he started laughing. He goes, no, we know each other. Yeah.
What a blessing for me. Imagine, because I'm not just an, I didn't become a thespian. Butch was a kid. He was in these things. He was around this, like, he had this perfect bird's eye view of this whole, well, not a bird's eye, kid's eye view of this whole thing. I watched it on TV and wanted to be part of it. I wanted to be Butch. And what I think is important about my relationship with Butch is, I've said this lately, Butch was, for those of us who were boys, Butch was us in the show. Because whether you remember it or not, I don't know if maybe Joe, you had this. My father wasn't Andy of Mayberry. My father was Herman Munster. We lived in a house that wasn't very nice. My mother was a bit of a hoarder. The house looked crazy.
He kicked the door down.
No, but my dad, was, he loved to go to amusement parks. He was like a kid, but he was also the dad who was there when you played baseball and the dad who wasn't there when you played baseball because he was at a bar drinking. He was goofy and weird, and we didn't fit in. I went to a really nice Catholic school, and they all had money, and we didn't have money. So when I go to their house, we were on the other. So to us, we were all Butch Patrick. We were all the kid who was kind of embarrassed by how goofy his dad was, right?
Well, I have a secret to divulge. When I was a kid, I used to come home from school and I used to watch the Munsters. And Eddie Munster was like my first really young crush.
Oh.
I used to come and watch the TV show and watch Eddie Munster and identify
Look, he's turning
with
red.
Eddie Munster, right?
Hubba,
So
hubba.
when I did Chiller and Pat Horgan brought me out to the Chiller fan show, there I was. I walk in and, modern day, here I am, Amber Lynn in this thing. I look over and there he is sitting across the aisle. And I was like, I have to go over and shake his hand and talk to him. And it was funny because it was like, all of that. And you do such an amazing job, Butch, about keeping the Munsters alive. And
definitely thanks to him.
It's so thanks to you. And, the more the world has gone mad, the more I appreciate something that can take us back to a time, like a time capsule, where we can go to a simpler time in our youth when it was light and it was happy and it wasn't like this intense, crazy insanity.
What we're doing to our kids, Amber Lynn, is horrible. All that was expected of us was you got to go to school and not be a jerk at school. Then you got that period of time where you could watch the Munsters and Dark Shadows. You could watch whatever you wanted for a couple hours, and you didn't worry about anything that is being imposed on these kids today. All you had to do was have fun. Butch, what about All Things Munsters?
Oh, well, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, I'm very excited. I started a YouTube channel a few years ago called Coach to Coast, right prior to the pandemic. And what it was me traveling the country with my Munster coach, and I would basically take people for rides, and we would do this and we would do that because the Munster coach was so synonymous with the
car.
success
It's
of
a
the
drag
show.
race car, right?
Yeah, George Barris's. Well, no, yeah, it's the George Barris creation for the show, and that was one of the factors into the show that made it so special as well. Our special effects, our makeup, our cars. We had good stuff.
Yeah.
So I have a Munster coach. I have a Dragula, and I have a Eddie Chopper. But my Munster coach, I was going around the country doing videos of when I would go somewhere, I would find something interesting in the area, and then I would go do a video, a lot of tributes to fallen stars and past stars and anything that was interesting. Then it was very much like Charles Kuralt years ago on the road for CBS. I was a big fan of his show, and I was trying to somewhat do something like that. And then everything came to a screeching halt. So to resurrect it, when the movie came out, when I found out that Rob, I went to his house about a year ago, and he had just gotten back from Hungary. And I thought maybe this would be a new way to resurrect it up and call it the new version, All Things Munster ATM, and that is my new YouTube channel. And I'm actually working with my sister, and we've hired a firm, and we were actually going out after everything to do interesting, from George Barris to Danny Roebuck to Rob Zombie to myself, and everything in Munster slot machines behind me. I'm trying to encompass and cover all things
so
Munsters.
So this is yours, the Munster
But basically,
slot machine.
it's for the fans. It's a fan-based driven YouTube channel that we can all interact. And my official Munsters fan group has 53,000 members. So we're going to try to integrate everything.
Well, you just got another one, because I'll be joining it
as soon
as we get off air.
Lois will be happy.
I just want to give everybody the address for all of our fans and viewers and listeners out there.
All Things Munsters on Instagram, and basically Munsters.com. I've had that for almost 30 years, so you can find me pretty easily. And also on the YouTube channel is called All Things Munsters.
And what about does it have all of these the slot machines and stuff like that? The last thing I need to get my hand on a slot
Yeah, we have a
machine.
store that features
my
all
personality.
kinds. I'm sitting in the room here that is this wall-to-wall Munster stuff. And yes, we do have a new store, redesigned, everything, high-end stuff, low-end stuff, middle ground stuff. I'm going to be speaking with Rob about getting some of the new Munster movie stuff as well.
Okay.
So everything that you can think of to do with the Munsters can usually be handled through ATM. All Things Munsters. Thanks for asking, and thank you, Danny.
Of
That's
course.
awesome.
No, I'm proud to be following it. By the way, for our mutual friend Kevin Burns, I carried one of those slot machines.
And how do your fans follow you, Butch? If they just want to follow you, do they go to the YouTube channel, or do you have social media links? I mean, I know that you can Google you, but when you do, there's all these Eddie Munsters, Butch Patricks that jump up.
Right.
So
I have two big Facebook pages, but the real Butch Patrick is on Instagram.
okay.
And it's verified. And then you can also go to All Things Munsters, which is verified. And then you also go to Munsters.com, which will lead you to everything else that I have that's me. There are a lot of imitators, but if you go to Munsters.com, that's
Often
one way to get
imitated, but
to the
never
store.
duplicated, just like I
Yeah.
always say. We're gonna have to get your name trademarked. We need to
Yeah,
trademark
there you
it,
go.
right? I'll have to talk to you about that after the show.
It's funny. How many times did you hear your mother yell at you, Butch Patrick, come up here?
Right?
Patrick.
well, that's
Butch
right.
Patrick.
Yeah. We all. I once said to a friend who's an autograph guy, I said, "What would be the most expensive autograph?" He said, "Jesus would be." And I said, "But he only heard his middle name when his mother, Jesus H. Christ, get up here."
Yeah.
And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I'm a big believer
no.
in Jesus, but I just think it's funny that we always had a middle name when we were in trouble.
So The Munsters comes out September 27th, 2022. Is there going to be a premiere?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a Netflix situation. I don't know
Oh,
how
okay.
that would work.
Okay,
I
so
don't-
it's going to
yeah.
go out on Netflix.
It'll be on Netflix. You can actually go to Amazon today or any, Target or Walmart and order it today, and they'll send it to you on the 27th, and it'll be on Netflix on the 27th.
Awesome, because I know a lot of people are definitely going to want to get their hands on
Yeah,
it.
we know Joe's going to.
Any fan shows
do.
coming up, Butch, or anything like that? We just want to let everybody in on. Any chiller
my-
appearances? Anything?
The best thing to do is I've actually really ramped it up. I kind of had a situation that allowed me to do something as a residency this summer that kind of fizzled out, unfortunately. But I'm doing great. I'm on the road doing a lot of good stuff. This weekend I'm actually off. My sister's in town. My girlfriend's flying in, and then next weekend we ramp it up. I'm going to be getting into some NASCAR stuff, which is very exciting. I love doing racetracks. I think I'm going to be the Grand Marshal at the Springfield Mile, which is in Springfield, Illinois, over Labor Day. Mile flat track, old school, great racing. And but yeah, I got a full schedule all the way through November.
All right, Butch, thank you so much for doing the show. It's so good to see you again. I hope I get to check it out and run into you at some of these fan shows coming up in the next year. But good luck with the new movie. And keep in
Thank you
touch.
so
And
much.
if you wind up and you find yourself coming into La La Land, you know that we got a spot for you right here live in the studio, right?
Absolutely. Over the holidays, I will be looking you up.
Okay, darling.
Bye,
Bye.
Bye, Butch.
Bye, Butch. All right, you guys.
What deal is that? He's on my shirt, and he's on the TV, and he's on my shirt.
There you go. Show us your shirt. Let's see the shirt.
Do you see it? I don't. Then everyone will know I'm
You
wearing.
guys have some good energy. We need to get you guys in like a movie together.
Yeah, that'd be good. Me and Butch in a movie. We'd like that.
That's right.
We'd like that. I make my own movies, so I'll put Butch in a movie.
You're just like the nicest guy.
I'm a very
What
blessed
a nice,
person. Oh,
nice person you are.
That's nice of you.
So
to say.
where are your fans following you? What have you? What's going on for you? What's next?
Thank you for asking. So, I stay pretty busy. I think I'm doing a Frankenstein movie next week and a werewolf movie at the end of the month in North Carolina.
Oh, nice.
Can you tell us the name of it?
I don't know that I can.
Okay.
But can I come another time and talk about it?
Yes,
That would be.
You're
that
in the
would be-
neighborhood, right?
That would be joyful. Yes. So I work for the man. I was saying that earlier. I work for the man. I do whatever the man wants, whatever creepy, terrible.
He's talking about Rob Zombie.
No, I mean the man. I mean any, like, if anybody's watched me over the course of my life, they've seen me play really great people and really horrible people. Like if I'm on a CSI or an NCIS, I'm a horrible guy. If I'm on Criminal Minds, I'm a really horrible guy. His
character acting is just unbelievable.
And I'm killed often. The good news is, generally, if I'm a horrible person, they do kill me. Once I was doing Criminal Minds, and I was playing a character who was kidnapping girls, impregnating them, and then making the young girls have babies, like horrible. And then they catch us, and then at the end of the movie or the show, I insist that I won't tell them where the other girls are. They'll die unless they let me say goodbye to the girl they caught me with. So we're doing this whole scene, and I'm doing and my wife Tammy was sitting next to the director, who was like watching the scene when I'm saying goodbye, like wiping her eye. And she's like, "Cut, Dan." And she came out, and it was like, she goes, it was very, like, I really was, and I finally said, "I got to earn the bullet, right?" She goes, "Yes," because I was acting sympathetically.
That's a good way to put it. I got to earn the bullet.
Got to earn the bullet. So we went in and shot it where I was a bit more of an obstinate douche, I guess. And then, when I walked around the corner and got shot, then the audience was like, "Yes, he's gone." But the character actor life is good. I write and direct, produce movies. The first one, people, I would ask them to see, and I wish I would have known. I'll get you a copy.
Okay.
You too, Joe. It's called Getting Grace. That's on, you can find it anywhere you could buy a movie. I wrote and directed that, co-wrote it with Jeff Lewis and directed it. And then we have two other movies in post-production. One's called Lucky Louie, that I wrote and directed with my daughter, Grace Roebuck. And that was amazing. And then the other one's called The Hail Mary. But people could go to achannelofpeace.org to learn all about that.
To learn all about your movies and to be able to follow you. And what about your social media links?
I'm Mr. Daniel Roebuck, and again, verified. That's the good news about being part of, like, the
That's on Facebook or Instagram, or is it all of them?
All of them. Mr. Daniel Roebuck on Facebook.
Well, that's the good news about being popular like that, because you're so searchable and you're in all these things that they instantly will verify you.
Yeah, I think Universal helped with that. And can I just say one more thing about that, because I know we only have where we're sitting now, Amber Lynn, we're about 1,000 yards from where the actual Munsters house was that our friend Butch Patrick worked in front of. It was right across the LA River here.
Yep, we're right across the street from Warner Brothers these days. Gate one guys in the Burbank Media District. Anything else, Joe, before we go?
Joe, you're a heck of a co-host. You're more like a no-host.
That's why he's here. He just sits back.
No, just it's an honor. I love your work, and
please.
It's an honor to be with such a brilliant artist. I'm really looking forward to some of your new projects, and like I said, I cannot wait for the new Munster movie. I thought you did an amazing job.
Yeah, here, I'll give you
and I will let you know, and I will let you know when I see it, and I will see it, and I will let you guys know. All right, you guys, that is all the time we have for tonight. A very special thanks to Butch Patrick for zooming in, and our special in-studio guest, Daniel Roebuck. You guys have all their social media links. Please follow them, check it out, and get your popcorn ready, because the Munsters 2022 is coming at Halloween. I want to give a special thanks to all of our viewers and listeners for tuning in, and join us again next week for another amazing episode of Rock-N-Sexxy Uncensored.
Thank you for tuning in to Amber Lynn's Rock-N-Sexxy Uncensored, available on rockandSexxyUncensored.com. Don't forget to hit us up on all your favorite social media links, and tune in next week for another amazing episode of Rock-N-Sexxy Uncensored.